Howdy everybody! Does your land have a strong slope like what's behind me here? Well, no problem. I'm going to show you an easy way to build terraces on that slope. No heavy equipment is needed, no digging needed. All you need are a few rocks, so let's get into it. So why terraces? Well, they provide a flat surface on which to plant. They help to control erosion by slowing the flow of water down the slope. They allow easier access compared to swales, and terraces permit planting on steep slopes like this one that I'm walking down. You may remember from a previous video, I mentioned that swales are really only appropriate for slopes that have between a 3 and 15% maximum drop. And this has a lot more than that. So that's really where terraces come in. So let's explore the steep slope issue a little bit further. You may remember from math class at school learning about the XY coordinate system for graphic analysis. You plotted points on the graph and then connected them with the best line that fit all of those points. The angle of this line is called the slope. The concept is the same for building our terrace, except in this case there is no coordinate system and the slope is on actual land. So I'm here on a section of the farm with the chicken house just behind me. And the average drop in the slope here is 27%. It's a little steeper than that in some areas and a little less steep in other areas. But if you average it all out, it's about 27% drop. So this is a good candidate area for terraces, particularly the type that I'm going to show you how to construct, because the soil layer is shallow down to the bedrock. And that makes digging almost impossible. You try to dig a swale, or you even try to dig a terrace, you're going to hit the bedrock very quickly, and you don't want to be trying to dig through bedrock. So we're going to build our terraces on top of the soil. In other words, we're going to build up instead of digging down. I started this project as an experiment a couple of years ago to see if it would actually work. You know, this whole idea of building up instead of digging down. And it really exceeded my expectations. So I decided to extend the original terrace and eventually construct at least one more above it, where it's a lot more steep. In a previous video, I taught a simple way to determine the slope of your land. We learned two terms, the run and the rise. The run is a level line that extends from a higher point on the slope. The rise is a vertical line that extends from a point lower on the slope. Along with the slope itself, these three things form a virtual right triangle. In the figure, the run represents the available flat terrace area. The rise tells us how much material that we have to fill in to make the terrace area possible. When building a terrace, there is a key concept to keep in mind. The available terrace area is defined by the angle of the slope and the height of the rise. In this series of drawings, the rise is the same, but the slope changes. We can see that as the slope angle increases, the terrace area decreases. The same thing is also true if we change the height of the rise, but keep the slope angle the same. So as you can see, I've already started constructing the wall for the extension, and the whole thing is on contour. So it's important that it's on contour because you want to make sure that you're capturing the water as it's coming down and slowing it down a little bit. That's one of the good things about the terrace. So when we finish the wall, we're going to be filling in behind it with a mixture of compost and sharp sand. And then we'll top that off with a good amount of mulch. A gentle slope will give you the greatest terrace area for a modest rise and good stability. You want to use large rocks for the base of the rise and add smaller ones as you increase the height. You might be asking yourself, won't the whole structure, the rocks and the fill behind it, just slide down the slope once you have a strong rain? Not if you build the rise correctly. You want to use a triangle formation in building the rise. So it's going to be wide at the bottom and taper up as you go up. You're never going to hit the point of the triangle. You're not going to try to achieve that. But remember, always wide at the bottom. That's the strongest structure. And you're going to be introducing various plants on the terrace plane as quickly as possible. And the roots of those plants will sink down and stabilize the structure greatly. So you don't really have to worry about it sliding down the slope. Might there be a rock that comes loose once in a while? Yes, that's happened up here on the old one, and all I do is put it back. It's not a big deal. Do not forget to allow space for walking on the terrace plane. You don't want to be walking over the rock wall. You also shouldn't plant trees that will grow large on the terrace. Their roots can spread out and disrupt the rock wall. For steeper slopes, the walking area can be located above the terrace plane. So I'm over here at the new section of the rock wall that I've been working on. It's slightly higher, just a couple centimeters than the original rock wall there. I'm going to combine them together where they'll meet in the middle, and then I'll make the old one a little bit higher as well. So let's get a sense of how much terrace area we're actually going to have. And we do that by using a process that we used in another video to determine the slope of the land. Now we're going to reverse that. I have the string tied onto a pole there at the height of the rise, and now I'm using the line level in the middle here. I'm going to pull this, and Lena's going to tell us when the bubble is in the middle. Is it in the middle?
Yeah, it's in the middle.
So now, look up here to the stone. This is the available terrace area that we have. We're going to fill this. This is 110 centimeters. Which means that I already know that our walking area is going to be above here. Remember, we don't want to walk on the rocks. Definitely don't want to do that. And we're not going to have that much room for plantings. We'll have about 110 centimeters, right? No, we won't. Why? The idea is we're not going to fill all the way back to here. We're going to cut it off at about 106 instead of 110. And what that's going to give us is a very slight incline going this way. Now, why do we do that? If there's a heavy rain, that helps to prevent any sheeting action of water going over the top of the rock wall, and that increases the stability of the structure again. It also will have a tendency to make the water collect in this area and stay here and then soak in. So that's why we're not going to take advantage of the entire thing. We're going to cut back about 4 centimeters, and that's going to give us a slope going this way, and that's going to help the structure. So one thing to remember, as you're building the wall, you don't have to do it immediately, but as you're building the wall, you want to fill in the little cracks and crevices with as many small stones as you can. Not because that makes it look better, but because this is going to settle. And you want to make sure that it settles in the way that you want it to settle, not in a different way. So you fill in those cracks and crevices. That keeps the integrity of the wall. As the rain events happen and as stuff gets washed down here, it's going to go into the rock wall, and that will increase the stability as well. So with that, I'm going to end the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.